War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for being here, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We'll take you however we can get you. Just appreciate you giving us even a few minutes of your time to hang out with us and talk about what we love about all things Auburn. On today's live stream, or tonight's live stream, whenever you're watching this, we are going to be discussing Auburn versus Arkansas, a preview of the SEC matchup, which arguably could be a very important one to see how the SEC or the SEC West in general shakes out. And I want to hear what you all have to say. I'll share some of my thoughts, and we're going to do some score predictions as well. So hold on to those. I know everybody already wants to kind of jump to the chase. Save those to the end. You all are going to help me pick my score prediction. I've thought about it a little bit, but I need to hear opinions and prognostications from you all. So please don't be shy. You can comment along and all that good stuff in the chat window. And tonight, headphones are on, so it's a call-in night. Anybody is fair game to call in. Check out that call-in link at the very top of the chat window. I'll share it throughout the night as well, as I remember to, just to kind of as a reminder. You can be on camera or off camera. It doesn't matter. You can do either one. You don't have to actually make your camera work on your phone or whatever, but that is the way you do it. Just click on the link. It'll ask you a couple things and then let you in here to hang out with me and talk for a little bit. And you never know, you might get to stay down here for a while. We'll see. But anyway, that's what's on tap for tonight. A couple of other reminders. Check out links in the description that we'll mention throughout the show about ways that you can help support our content here on the network, whether it's being a channel member, a booster club member, shopping on TeePublic. All that good stuff is available for you right there. The easiest thing and the best thing you can do for us right now, though, is a couple things. Smash that like button if you like this type of content. Tell a friend, meaning go to social media, share it out on there, invite some people in to be part of the conversation here tonight. And also, if you like this type of thing, make sure you're subscribed along with that notification bell. Something, a little reminder too. If you notice when we post the live streams, not screams, a little bit early, it's not Halloween yet. There's a set reminder option over there that you can push, and it'll actually give you another layer of protection and from not missing this. Because I see a lot of you say, I missed it. I can't believe I missed it again. Just do those things. Subscribe, notification bell. But if you see a live stream, make sure you hit that set reminder thing. All right, let's see who's already here. We got a couple people saying hello in the chat. John Stokes, a channel member and a Booster Club member. Thank you for your support as always, sir. Rodney Williamson from Bruton checking in. He's doing the traditional thing we do here. As you come in, make sure you obviously say War Eagle and share where you're watching from. City, state, international, all that good stuff. Rob Donaldson, thank you for being here, friend. Thank you for being here. So that's everybody so far that I've caught up with on here. Today was Hay Day at Auburn. For those of you that don't know what that is, it was a tradition established a long time ago to encourage Auburn students to get out on the quad and meet each other, say hello to everybody, or to say hey to everybody. So we celebrated that today on social media. Had a lot of great response from that. Rob's calling in from Huntsville. We got Pensacola with Dusty, who's a channel member, Booster Club member. Thank you, sir, for your support. So everybody, we got Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, Florida, Arkansas, Texas, California. Oddly enough, we didn't have a Louisiana person check in. Usually we at least get one, but we almost had the entire Southeast, the traditional Southeast covered. I don't really throw Kentucky in there. They're basically what would have been called the Mason-Dixon line and all that kind of stuff. So it's really like Tennessee, Mississippi, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia. Florida's not even the SEC or in the Southeast. They're kind of their own little weird thing over there. All right. So like I said, I know that right now things are not as peppy as they were even a week ago, sitting on a exciting win off of LSU, excited about what we saw there and what could potentially happen in the Georgia game. Obviously, that did not work out the way we wanted it to. But here's the thing is I think what you've learned about this team is now you know its deficiencies. Now you know its strong points. The question is, how are they going to utilize those strong points? And how are they going to counter those deficiencies they have the rest of the season? Because it's halfway done. Can you believe it? Halfway done. It just makes me so sad here. Oh, yeah, I got somebody dropping a score prediction, but we'll bring it up here. Let's see. You're Arab, Alabama, and you're from Arab, Alabama, and I'm from Navarre, Florida. That's confusing. Which one are you from there? Are you from Arab originally, but you're in Navarre now? That's really confusing. Dusty, glad you're enjoying those press conference videos. Again, those are just my speculation and interpretation of what I'm hearing coach speak, but I'm really trying to listen to what coach is saying. And sometimes that's hard with coach speak, right? They just can only give you so much information. And I felt like this one was probably the least amount of stuff that you could take away from, the least amount of like exciting things. There was no injury updates. There was no quarterback controversy. There was no, why is this player missing type of thing. The questions have all been asked at this point. So that's why I think this week, if we can get out of Arkansas with a win, and then we have the off week, it's going to be a really good, not reset point, but just a kind of breathe point and see what happens going forward. What is Arkansas's biggest threat? That's a great question. I have it pulled up over here. I forgot that they had KJ Jefferson, which is he's a nice athlete as their quarterback. Oops, what is this going on here? I don't know why that's going on there on that thing. He has 79 for 126 passing this year, 1,235 yards passing. He has 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions right there. I think, honestly, he's a threat, but they are what Coach Harsin said in his press conference was tough and physical. And I think that embodies what Coach Sam Pittman, and we all, look, let's all be honest here. We all laughed and scoffed at the hire of Sam Pittman, the former offensive line coach for Georgia, going to be the head coach at Arkansas. And boy, he turned some heads early, didn't he? It was really interesting to see how much he got off onto a good foot to start off. I got a lot of weird notifications going on here in this other tool that I utilize. It's throwing me off a little bit. But yeah, Sam Pittman, I think he's gotten back to the basics. And what Auburn needs to do is get back to the basics of blocking and tackling. Blocking especially, whether it's pass blocking, which, I've debated this a lot with people where the pass blocking has truly gotten better or not. In my opinion, I think there are areas where it's gotten better, but there's still not there. Bo shouldn't be having to make that magic happen so much. So there's that aspect of, but their run blocking is really the deficiency part of it. Okay. This tool that I have over here that I had all the stats on is really acting up tonight. So I'm sorry, guys, that's distracting me a little bit, but at least I got to say one stat before I left. Oh, it's back now. It's weird. It's an old like Kindle thing that I use to kind of reference things. John says the quarterback can run. And he's a big man. So, I hate that we always make this comparison, but it's the most relevant to us as Auburn fans, right? But he's the Cam Newton type of quarterback. Big, physical guy who can throw it and run at the same time. Maybe not the most proficient passer. He's had 3 interceptions on the year. Bo's had 1, and it wasn't even really his fault. I think we all, if you're reasonable, can agree on that one. But he seems prone to turn it over a little bit. But you see that a lot sometimes with these more kind of dual threat quarterbacks. They have a tendency to do that because they're taking a little bit more risk and things like that, throwing on the run, which Bo is done that as well, but he hasn't, knock on wood, thrown a true pick this year so far. Rob, so yes, stopping the run is going to be key to this game. Absolutely. It is the key to every game, or just the battle up front is the key to every game. It doesn't, and I hate to say that all the other conversations about this and that, about this unit, that are all for naught, but really it's as simple as that. Is if your guys who battle for inches on the offensive line or the defensive line, whichever way you're talking about for your team, can win the day, that is really what's going to dictate whether your team can be successful or not, because it makes some of those other things that tend to make you more successful, special plays, more throwing and stuff like that, that can really become more of a problem or more of a good thing for you if you're doing all the other things. Will all the stars on the defense be back? So, obviously the one we're all thinking about is Owen Papo, right? I have not heard because Coach said he had no injury reports and kind of squashed any questions about that at the start. Owen Papo has a high ankle injury, and I can tell you firsthand, those are no joke. I played basketball. I'm actually about to go play basketball as soon as we get off this call tonight. I actually have to cut off just a little early tonight, but we'll make sure we get all our discussion points in here tonight. But high ankle sprains, they are no joke, and they are bad. And if that's what he's dealing with right now, I don't question. He needs to make sure he gets that figured out. And Rob asked the next part of that I was going to get to. Smoke's out until third quarter. I don't know if it's like, I can't remember if it's at the start of the third quarter, he has to go halfway through it, or maybe it's the whole third quarter. But yeah, you can expect being without Smoke Monday for at least half the game, I think, if I've got my math right on that. But yes. So those are the two big ones. I can't think of anybody else that was missing. If you guys are thinking of somebody, let me know. Let's see here. From Arab, Alabama, and you live in Navarre. Okay. Yes. Dusty says, stop the run, force them to throw downfield. I hope the defense is ready to bounce back after being embarrassed. And, I remember us all sitting in the stands at the game at UGA and talking about it at halftime. I was like, all right, this is where the game is decided not. Can the defense make the adjustments? And while it didn't get really bad until that last drive where we just let them just pound it on the ground and just, take the will of life out of us. That they had those few big plays that happen, and that shows you that some of our guys aren't really ready yet to have those things kind of exploited, which is why it's important to get more of a pass rush outside of the Iku sack. That was the only sack or really significant pressure that we got on him all game. So yeah, we'll have to see if they're able to kind of take what they learned against Georgia and apply it in this game. Don't walk into Arkansas. And I think everybody is there now understands this. You should be taking no game on this schedule lightly. And even you shouldn't have been doing it from the beginning of the season, but if Georgia State didn't prove that to you, if Georgia didn't prove that to you, don't take any game lightly, whether you think it's the best team in the year you're facing or the least team. Be ready to play. Did you honestly, if I had been sitting next to Coach Pearl, I probably would have done the shirtless thing, but you wouldn't have wanted to see that. It's not good. I say that from personal experience, seeing what's underneath this shirt. This sounds kind of weird, but I'll be honest with you. He had kind of a dad bod, but like he had a couple muscles on him. I was like, well, all right, Bruce, I see you up there. Working obviously in the gym with the boys and stuff like that. But yeah, it would have been funny to have that happen and have that experience with Coach Pearl. I don't know that Coach Harsin. I'm trying to read into what if you listen to the press conference this week, he was asked about this, and of course the reporters wanted to kind of see what they could get out of him for this. They asked him if he would return the favor. And I knew he'd kind of scoff at it, but he was a little bit more scoffing and acted like he didn't even see it. I was like, come on, man, you saw it, you knew it happened. I know that's not his style, but I thought he could play along a little bit with it and just say, we'll see, that kind of thing. Because I think we all knew that wasn't going to be happening. But hey, different coach, different strokes for different folks, they'll handle it how they want to, those type of questions. Need to have a spy on the quarterback. Yeah, John, I would agree. My one question, the one problem I have with that, and this is just my layman's interpretation of that, is if you've got a spy back there, usually he's not doing much except waiting for the quarterback to make a run, and keeping his eyes on him and things like that. But at the same time, you really, as much as we've struggled to get a pass rush, you need every guy available, excuse me, to be doing a pass rush. And I don't know that committing a guy to a spy is going to really, because that in theory, gives them more time to potentially step back there. And I know you don't do that every play and things like that. And maybe you can mix it in a little bit. But yeah, there's there are a lot of problems with the offense, but also the defense. And I don't know that one thing's going to be the solution this year. Could be wrong, but you probably will see some of that. How many of the guys with Coach Pearl were 5-star recruits? Well, most of them were players, right? I think I think all of them were players because the recruits sit like if you're sitting in the stands with them, to the left of them over there. So I don't think any of those were recruits. I could be wrong, but that's usually how it goes down. Smoke will be playing in the first half. TD is out of the game because of the target call in the first quarter. Kevin, I think you have that backwards. I could be wrong. TD Moultrie is not on the team right now, unless I've got that wrong. He's got me questioning things now. Somebody correct all of us here. I think Smoke is the one who got the targeting call in the first quarter, which would mean he would be sent out the first quarter at least, not the half. I don't know how that breaks down mathematically and all that stuff. And then TD is the one that not TD Moultrie. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Somebody write it in the comments, but he's got me question myself now. Yeah, I do think that Harsin is that type of coach, and that's what he wants. But I think there's a certain amount of statesmanship that you have to have, as if that makes sense, as a head coach, especially with the other head coaches. And I'm not saying he doesn't, but I think there's a little bit of room to give there in terms of just playing along a little bit, having a little bit of humor. And it was a stupid question, and you can give a stupid answer back and just kind of brush it off. They didn't really expect that. I know that's a little nitpicky thing, but that's just me. How am I feeling about this weekend? Can you catch the ball this week? Well, they couldn't catch it last week, so winter is coming. So can they catch a cold? I don't know. At this point, I really don't know. There's been a lot of disappointing things about the wide receivers and the offense in general, but it's just going to be a game time thing because I think it's going to take all year to get that fixed. Was Wesley Steiner and Cam Rowley's second string linebacker been playing? What about TD Moultrie? TJ. Now people, it's TD Moultrie, not TJ Moultrie. Oh, I'm all confused now. Yes, Steiner and Cam, they're second and third, I think, or something like that. But yeah, if you noticed, a lot of players got to play in the Georgia game that didn't traditionally do that. Not specifically these two. Steiner's played a lot in previous games. But coach has said this in his press conference. He's going to let whoever gives him the best opportunity to play, but also who's earned it. Just because you're the best guy on the field, athletically, talent-wise, doesn't mean you've earned it. There's two different things I think people need to separate: talent and earning it. They both have to, if they both coincide, that's the best possible thing, right? But sometimes that doesn't happen. And I think that's the case what we have going on right now. Corey's in the house. Good to see you. Corey is our newest member of the Booster Club. I know I told you emails are coming. They are. I promise. It has been a busy week so far, but they are coming, sir. Hopefully Tank can bring his running game 100% Saturday. I hope the offensive line can block for him 100% Saturday. I think there is, we talked about this a lot in the last live stream. If you haven't watched that we've reached the point, whether it's Bo's mistakes that he makes or the running backs not making it happen. You know what you're working with the offensive line. It is time for them to start figuring out how they can make a bad situation better. If that makes sense. So yeah, it's you got to get Tank going, but you got to give him some help, and he's got to figure out a way to make it happen with what he has to work with, because this is basically the same offensive line as last year, right? It's -1 that kind of won a spot out this year. So he's got to figure out a way to make it work with what he has, because he did it last year. I know everybody's gotten a chance to look at Tank and his skill set and what they can do to stop him, but they have to all together figure out a way to make it work. Smoke targeting was in the first play of the thing. No more time missed. Okay, so is that really how it happens? I thought it was 4 quarters no matter what, which would mean he would miss the first quarter. I could be wrong. I don't know. How about this? The rule is stupid and sucks. It really is. It is the most ridiculous rule ever. I get the premise behind it and why you're doing it, but it's actually causing players, the defensive players, to get hurt more than the offensive players because of they're getting run over now. Because what do you want to do? Just let them score touchdowns? Rant over. All right, a reminder for you all, if you do want to call in tonight, check out the link at the very top of the chat window. It is posted or pinned up there. I am posting it right now. Don't be shy. You can call in, say hello, share your thoughts that you have on this game coming up. Dusty clarifying, yes, TD is not on the team. Eligibility issue. Smoke should be able to start because he got injected in the first half. See, all that stuff is just confusing sometimes. Smoke got the targeting call at 14:50 in the second quarter, so I would say he would miss no time if he does not. If it does, it would only be the first quarter. Okay, that's what I thought, but I've questioned it now with everybody else talking about things. He wants to know what's going on with Tennyson. I don't really have anything. I'm going to answer it specifically with Coach Harsin said. If you're not seeing the players out there, they haven't earned it. I mean, it's really it's that. And I know that's a frustrating answer, but they haven't earned it. They haven't earned the chance to be out there. It's as simple as that. Big Simp, wow, says we'll play Georgia in a rematch for the championship. He heard it here first. And yes, I'm sober. Well, I hope so, sir. And that is quite the statement. Listen, if you think that Auburn doesn't have all of its season left and all the potential left, even, against Arkansas, I would argue personally that even if they were to lose against Arkansas, they still control their destiny because of the Alabama loss. Now, after that, 3 SEC losses, 2 West losses, that gets you out of it, minus everything else exploding. But there is still a lot of opportunity out there for this team to do some big, big, big things this way. By the way, Doug, I forgot to mention, thank you for your being a channel member, being a Booster Club member, and I believe you have a t-shirt coming your way very soon, sir. I'll keep you updated on that in the Booster Club. John, a little bit pessimistic. Hey, I understand. At this point, I'm not sure we even get to a bowl game. Well, let's walk through that. I think that's a good exercise. So you got Arkansas, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Mississippi State. You got South Carolina and Alabama. Let's just assume that Alabama is going to be a loss. Let's just assume it's the safe bet at this moment. Let's just assume that. Texas A&M has been kind of wishy-washy on how good they're actually going to be. Granted, they're back with their backup quarterback now. So I'm going to say, let's just for argument's sake say that's a loss too. That leaves Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Arkansas as your potentials because you're at what? 4-2 right now? Yes, 4-2. So you need 2 more wins. South Carolina, and then one of Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State, probably Mississippi State. We got a bowl game. I feel 99.9999% confident we're in a bowl game at this moment. Arkansas could change that. If we get the Arkansas win, I think we're fine. We still got people debating whether or not Smoke is out for a whole half or not. I don't. The whole thing is so weird. It will be a bowl, hopefully a clean bowl. Interesting. Are we trying to redshirt Dre Miller because we need to put out a search party to find him? Was one of the best cornerbacks in college football. Yeah, he was one of the best cornerbacks in college football with his former team, with his former staff. I think it's hard. And I say this, and I'm speaking to Kyle too when I say this, because I used to have this mindset too. It's like, surely this guy who started this other team can start here. Doesn't always translate that way. It's different. It really is. It's 3 quarters for targeting. I'm gonna when Smoke comes in, I'm just gonna cheer him on. How about that? He'll be in at some point in the game. Yes, Odell, the War Eagles are coming for them, if that's what you're talking about. Hey, Kevin, this is a great question. We're going to probably table that for another time, though. Even though we do bounce around a lot on some things, but I think we're going to have a pretty good basketball team. I've already discussed with some people about what we're going to do for basketball season, especially once football officially is done with its full season. I think we're going to have some fun doing some similar things like this. Not as often, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. Why haven't we heard O'Neal? Why haven't we heard anything about Demetrius Davis? I don't. I hope this doesn't come off across as rude. You got to forget about Demetrius Davis. There is and I'm not saying you're in it, but there's a lot of people that just are obsessing over it. This happens every time a new stud quarterback comes into the fold. Why aren't we seeing him? Why aren't we seeing him? Because he's redshirting. Hopefully, he's redshirting. He is the future of Auburn football. I say that because my theory is that Bo Nix is gone, regardless of how the season ends up this year, going to do other things. And maybe he goes to try to get a free agent job in the NFL. I don't know. In a practice squad at this point. I don't know. But I think he's done after this year, personally. That's just my opinion. Which means TJ is the guy, which means that gives 2 more years, in theory, for Demetrius Davis to learn, to grow, to get some playing time. And then in his junior year, you've got an outstanding guy who's been here for a while. Meanwhile, you're rolling through another guys. And that's how Alabama does it, guys. I know that pains to say that, but Alabama has these 2-year quarterbacks and they just rotate them through. Not always, but that tends to be the case. Every 2 years, they got the next guy up. Let's see. It really bothers me when the head coach says every week that playing time is up for grabs, but you got to work hard if I'm a player running through a wall to get noticed by my coach. I'm struggling what you mean there, Cam. You say it bothers you, but the statement sounds like you like it at the same time. Listen, I think when you're in a brand new year, a brand new regime, a brand new system, all that stuff, that first year is all about defining your identity. And that's what's happening right now. Coach is going to play who wants to be out there the most. And who wants to be out there the most will give the most effort, will be the most prepared, and it will show in practice. And that's who you need to be rewarding. Because when the star players who aren't doing that, apparently, see that, their choices are pitch a fit and sit on the bench, pitch a fit and go somewhere else in the transfer portal and never be seen again. Or potentially, it might motivate them. I can't let this guy who wasn't even rated a 3-star outwork me and get playing time that I would thought I was going to be having. So you got to have that type of mentality here. So I'm happy that he's doing that. Kevin says we can win them all. Yeah, we can. Oh, here's my cousin Ryan. Nice hairline, Kyle. Thank you. I would make a comment here that's mean, but I'm not going to because I love you. But yes, I know my hairline is receding. Thank you for reminding me, buddy. Let's see here. Recruiting had an awesome weekend. Dusty says we got some more commits coming. It looks like we flipped an OT commit from Florida. Well, hey, listen, I don't care where they come from. We need a whole slew of them in this year to get them set up for the future. All the talk about what's happened to Tank, realize teams are not going to let Tank beat them. They know him now, and our O-line can be. Sorry, I got cut off. Point about Tank was saying that the O-line can't block all the people they put in the box. So, yes, Hunter will have better opportunities unknown for now. Yeah, I agree with that somewhat, Big Simp. I do. I agree that a year of getting to see what he does best is going to make defenses more prepared for him. But at the same time, he's got to counter that, right? That was everybody's biggest gripe about Malzahn is that he wouldn't change and he wouldn't counter. So it can't be one way for the other and one way for the other person. So yes, I think we have reached that point where we know the offensive lines, and I mean this nicely, but it's honest, few strengths and there are many weaknesses. We need to set Tank up for the best possible opportunities with those few strengths that they have. And Tank also has to step up to the plate because, yes, they do know him a little bit better. There's this weird balance that you got to strike in all this right now. Doug says Arkansas Ole Miss defense is just about non-existent. Texas A&M don't know which Texas A&M shows up. So those listen if you didn't learn anything from this weekend, every game on Auburn's schedule is winnable. Will it happen? That's the big question. I feel pretty confident about 4 of those. The other 2, it's pretty up in the air. O'Neill, thank you for the kind words. Appreciate that. Justin, we are going to need Owen at some point this season, and hopefully it'll be soon, but I don't want him coming back before he's ready. High ankle sprains, you do not need to mess with. All right, we need to get to some more Arkansas talk here. I just saw this. I would guess that Matt is referencing some other, I think it was Zach Blackerby of the a Locked On Auburn podcast. They had a little bit of a rant session about people saying Bo throws too hard. If Bo throws too hard, what do you think that says about Nick Marshall? That boy could zip it in there. That's, I think, all that's been said and needs to be said about that. If I was a coach, who I'd start at wide receiver this week, whoever earned it on the field. I know that feels like a cheap cop-out, but I mean, honestly, that's what I mean. I think Kobe has showed you that he is the most reliable this year. With that being said, he's shown some deficiencies too. I think Shed has shown you he has a dependability factor sometimes. So I think he, in terms of the body of work, outside of that, Demetrius Robertson has been slightly disappointing, guys. He really, really, really has, and it's kind of frustrating. Be a man and catch the ball. Hey, we're not the ones trying to catch a fastball there, apparently, but hey, you would think they could. Started that to Aaron Murray. Listen, basically, just ignore everything Aaron Murray says. He's a little whiny baby and can't take getting hit. Anyway, all right. So a couple of things that I'm pulled up here. I'm just looking at ESPN stats here. I know these aren't going to be the most sophisticated in the world, but a reminder, if you do want to call in, you can. We've got about 15, 20 minutes left before I'll have to head out, but I just want to kind of go through some of these things here. But you can call in if you'd like to share your opinions. We'll do score predictions probably in about 10 minutes or so. The line or the prediction factor, the fan perspective on ESPN has dropped now from a 40 to 60 split and just barely to 39.6 in favor of Auburn for Auburn winning in favor of Arkansas winning 60.4. So people are not high on Auburn's ability to perform on the road, much less perform at all this year. And, that's not surprising with the kind of up and down nature that they have. One thing that you should take away from is that if they can handle the environment that LSU threw that at them, and they handled the Penn State as well, but LSU is much worse than that. I'm sorry, Penn State fans, if you're still here, it's much worse than that. They can handle Arkansas. Arkansas is not, you don't want to push. It's not a pushover situation, but it's a great stadium from what I can see. Never been there. I'll visit it one day, but they can handle the environment and that type of stuff. It's whether they can execute. The crowd, the noise shouldn't be a problem. We talked about KJ Jefferson. T. Smith is their leading rusher, 73 carries, 387 yards, 4 touchdowns. So they have a physical, tough mentality is what Coach Harsin has kind of said about them. So that's going to be probably something we're going to watch. T. Burks, 29 receptions, 519 yards, 3 touchdowns. Compared to us, Kobe Hudson, 19 receptions, 267 yards, and 1 touchdown. And our leading rusher is Jarquez with 47 carries, 465 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So we've got the advantage running wise, it looks like, even with our offensive line situation. And, Kobe Hudson being our leading receiver, no offense to him, is not a good sign for us. Let's see here. Yeah, he is a crybaby, isn't he? I have never seen, I thought I would dislike someone more than Greg McElroy. Aaron Murray, man, just stop, bro. Just stop. With the Hogs running a 3-3-5 on defense, we should have some running lanes. Yeah, you would think that, right? And it's not necessarily the case. If you're good at that, you can fill those gaps that tend to be opened up in that type of set. So it just depends on where their defense is at. Coach Harsin pointed out in his press conference this week that the great thing about is not just how well their defense works together, but how much variety there is. So don't count on just because it's a 3-3-5 base. You're not going to see plenty of the other sets as well. Man, listen, thank you for the kind words. I'd be surprised if we drop more than 2 passes this week. I believe our guys want to win and we'll step up. I hope you're right. I think we've all seen it on social media, the percentage, Bo's completion percentage, and then factored in the drops, and it just skyrocketed. If we had done half of that, I would have taken that, because that would have done that. Kevin, you can call in at the top of the chat window. There's a link. Click on that link, and you can do on camera or just your voice. It doesn't matter, and I'm posting it in the chat again right now. So call in if you'd like, Kevin. Corey says, I've been to Arkansas. Trust me when I tell you, you're not missing one thing. When I was complimenting it, Corey, I was saying that I think it looks nice. And I would imagine, since they've kind of closed in that, or somewhat closed in that other end, that it's probably a little bit more formidable. Yeah, he was crying a lot. That's just his nature. All right, let's see if anything comes up. Obviously, if anybody wants to call in here. I did this kind of math thing in my head when I broke down our points per game versus their points per game, and then versus points allowed per game. And I think, and this is not my official prediction, but I think that raw math that I was doing, it showed that if you just take numbers into consideration, as my light kind of stopped working there for a second, that Auburn versus Arkansas, based on stats, Auburn would probably get 30 points and Arkansas would get about 25, just based on points allowed versus points scored per game. Now, you're not factored in how these two teams match up against and stuff like that. So just something to think about, that if you look at that alone, doing some weird math there, that's how numbers say it might shake out. Rarely do the numbers prove anything correctly. Football is a game not so much of numbers, but of measurements and of inches, so to speak. I promise you, when we beat Georgia again, there will be the biggest cry session you've ever seen. From Murray or from these fans up here? I live in Georgia. Yes, they don't know how to handle losses to Auburn very well. Like, it's kind of sad, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never seen, and I think that comes from, they put so much into that matchup. We got a caller in. We'll take you in just a second, Kevin. That they just can't. They can't process, because they've got no other big rival. Georgia Tech's not really a rival anyway. All right, we got a caller in. Let's take him in. Let's say, Kevin, how's it going, my man?
Hey, War Eagle.
War Eagle, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I think
Kevin, are you there? The internet's, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you froze up for there a second. Try it one more time.
I think our running backs will get it done this Saturday against Arkansas.
Okay, why do you think that? What shows you that they're going to do better?
Because Tank can run the ball real good.
Yeah, he definitely can, but he hasn't done it so much this year. Now that's just,
How about Jaquez Hunter?
He is a talent, isn't he? He is quite a problem. Is you got it, just the same problems that we have with Tank is with Jarquez. You got to give him a hole to get to. Now Jarquez has had more success because I think he's a very unique talent, and we put him in some different situations. But we are very blessed with a variety of talent at running back, and we haven't seen this much.
How about all the recruitment from people in high school?
Honestly, I haven't really, outside of Amari Alston. Is it Damari Alston?
Yeah.
Damari Alston. I haven't really paid attention much to running back recruiting outside of that of recently. I enjoy recruiting, but I've chosen to not get so invested anymore because it just does nothing but disappoint me. It really does.
I like our offense coordinator, Mike Bobo.
You do like him? Why do you like him?
His son's coming next season.
Yeah, he is. And so that's a very crucial recruit to get
Yeah.
for offensive line to get things started. You know, a lot of people were kind of downplaying that. I'm like, so wait, you're telling me you don't want him just because it's the coach's son? I'll take anybody at this point. Whoever wants to be here and will earn it. I'll take any offensive lineman.
How about the guy from Oregon, the wide?
Uh, Clemens, I think is his name.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't heard a lot of buzz about him recently. I would imagine that our performance has probably cooled that off a little bit, but you never know. It's a long season. It's a long recruiting cycle. So we'll just, I bet he's one of those that'll go down to the wire. So as long as he stays non-committed, I think I like our chances to stay in that
Yeah.
race. You got time for one more question or anything about the game, Arkansas? What about, how about this prediction? You got us a prediction?
35-21 Auburn.
35-21. Now, are those rushing touchdowns, passing, a mix? What are you thinking?
Bo Nix and TJ Finley both might play.
Yeah. I would imagine they've got TJ ready to run some sets, but
Who's
probably,
the third string quarterback?
that would be Demetrius Davis. He is, yeah, but I don't know that you'll see him. He is probably redshirting this year, and they're probably saving him unless they absolutely have to use them.
Yeah, I might go to Auburn's game against Ole Miss.
Okay, well, I might see you down there because I'll be there too.
Hey, what time kickoff start
For Arkansas?
No, Ole Miss.
They have not announced yet. They have not announced that yet. They'll announce that next Monday when they usually do it 2 weeks in advance if they can. All right, Kevin, thank you for popping in with us tonight and saying hello. Appreciate you doing your call in for us.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, man. War Eagle. All right, so that was Kevin. Thanks for calling in, buddy. If you guys want to call in, again, you can do that by checking out the link in the top of the chat window. But there is also, I posted it there, right there, if you want to check all that out. Let's see here. Georgia's biggest rival is Florida. Yes. But is it really though? That's the thing is Georgia, they put so much into us. I think that's what we were saying before he called. That if they just can't fathom that. Whereas we've got Georgia, we've got Alabama, you know, we've got LSU. There's a lot that we can put stock into. Corey, I've said that all along. I said that Georgia will find a way to Georgia. Let's see. Prediction, Auburn 33, South 27. All right, we'll take those in just a second. Yes, everybody's giving you, Kevin, I don't know if you can see that now if you're back in the chat, but everybody's giving you War Eagles. It is about that time. All right, so here's what I would like to do, an exercise. And those of you that have been here before, you know how this goes, how I like to do this. I want you to tell me how many yards right now in the chat window does Auburn get on the offense? How many yards will the offense compile for Auburn? To give you perspective, you know, remember this is a little bit skewed because we had some pretty rinky-dink games. Points per game, 35. Points allowed per game by Arkansas, 24. So let that kind of inform your decision. That's what I was talking about when I was doing some math early on. Or earlier this week, thinking through this a little bit. So how many yards do you think? That's points, I know. But if you want yards, Auburn gets 451 yards per game. They allow 337. Unbeaten Lake says we get 527. Wow. That is quite an overperformance there. If that's it. Hey, we got to let this caller in. It is my good friend, Dusty. What's up, man?
Good evening, Kyle. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, two calls in a week. You're on a roll, buddy.
Yeah, I enjoy the show, man. I enjoy the show.
Appreciate that. What's on your mind tonight?
Tigers big this weekend. Tigers big, 45-17. I've got Tank and Jarquez are going to have 100 each, and Bo will throw for over 250 as well.
Okay.
And only 2 drops.
I like your prediction about him throwing 250 because, I mean, I think he had like 262 this week, and that was with drops and everything like that. So I think if Bo throws for a solid 250 and we do what you said, establish an actual running game, I don't know that Arkansas is going to be able to hold on long enough, even with some of their talent they have and some of the things that they do well. They don't get me wrong; they've done some really good things this year, but at the same time, I don't know that they've reached that point where they can sustain that, as you saw against Georgia, and they ran into a buzzsaw that is Georgia. They kind of got exposed a little bit. So you think our defense is going to have a much better game?
Yeah, I mean Arkansas, they had a good start. It's just that I feel like it's kind of one of them deals where you're halfway through the season now, and I'm sure they have injury issues like everybody.
Yeah,
And they're probably in the depth because they just haven't had good years of recruiting. I mean, they're turning it around, but we beat an LSU team that is way more talented than us, and obviously we're not as talented as Georgia. But I felt like talent-wise, we were on the same page with Penn State, and our talent compared to Arkansas, we're a lot better, and I think that those guys seem disappointed. Like Jacoby McClain, probably going to have 15 tackles this week. That was not like him. I guarantee you that missed tackle in the backfield that went for a touchdown. I guarantee you that's bothered him all week. And yeah, I've got the defense stepping up there. I think you're going to see the whole team come out. We beat Arkansas 5 times in a row, and we're an underdog. Come on.
Now I don't know. I won't ask you how old you are, but I know we're probably
I'll be turning 30 in 2 weeks.
All right, so I figured we weren't too. I'm 34, so I know you can't tell with the hairline, but I figured we weren't too far off in age. But you probably remember a time where going up to Arkansas, it was 50-50, especially on the road.
Fair.
I don't think we've reached that point again, personally. But yeah, I do think that if you talk about talent, I think it's a good comparison that you made. Penn State and Auburn are probably very similar. I think that showed in the early matchup there. Granted, it was an early game, an early season game. So everybody's still figuring things out. But I like that comparison. That's not saying that Auburn is a top 5, top 10 team right now, because they're clearly not. But in terms of talent, what they're capable of, they are capable of a top 10 performance, because they almost proved it on prime time on a Saturday a couple of weeks back in September. So I like that. So let me get that again. 45 to, what was your final score prediction?
We'll go 45. I'll go 17. 45-17.
He said, I'll throw a charity touchdown in there. 45-17. You got the Tigers beating the Hogs. I like it, my man. Thanks for calling in, buddy.
Yes, sir. Hey, be safe out there on that court tonight.
Hey, listen, these ankles, man, they've seen some things, and they're probably, if you see me limping around on social media, you'll know why.
Pull up from 40, call yourself Jared Harper. You'll be all right. War Eagle, buddy.
War Eagle, man. Good to hear from Dusty always. He is a channel member and a Booster Club member. So if you guys want to check out how to be one of those, you can ask one of the fine individuals like Corey, like John, like Dusty. But hitting those links down there, if you're trying to become a channel member, you have to go to like desktop, because especially everybody's got Apple phones these days. It's weird. It won't let you click it or send you to the right place. Follow the link. If you need help finding it, just send me a message on social media. Arkansas ain't Bobby Petrino yet. No, they definitely aren't. I agree that the Arkansas head coach is overperforming at this point, but there reaches a point where you're overperforming matches your talent that you have, and have they reached that pinnacle this season so far? They might have. Yeah, I'm 34, but I look like I'm 40 because of this hairline, because my cousin pointed that out. I really thank you for that, Ryan, if you're still watching. Yes, they are still struggling. We addressed that a little bit earlier, but doesn't mean they can't get it figured out this week. How about this? All right, final score predictions. We do need to kind of get to that. I know we didn't go through our normal system of doing things, but it's Arkansas week. It's crazy. I want you to drop right now your final score predictions for Auburn versus Arkansas, or Arkansas, however you want to put it in. Let me know right there in the chat window right now. You heard Dusty's 45, even gave him a charity touchdown of 17. So you know how confident that he's feeling about it. I want to see if you're feeling confident. If you're not, I think most Auburn fans are expecting Arkansas to not beat Auburn, which is, I would tend to agree with that. I don't agree with the fan sites. I think that's more of an emotional thing when you see that the percentages in Arkansas's favor. I think that more has to do with it being at home. But I think if you compare how the LSU performance for Auburn in that environment, I think they're going to be fine. It really is a matter of, can Auburn execute what they do well? And if they do, I think they'll get the win. Remember, so when I make a prediction, I'm trying to remind myself of this. When I did that little weird number figuring out thing, it showed me based on stats alone that Auburn should get 30 points versus Arkansas getting 25 points. That doesn't mean that's my prediction, though. I'll get that in a second. Rob says 33-27. A little bit closer. It's an odd score, too. That's 3 touchdowns and 4 field goals, or a variety, or a missed extra point here or there. 28-24 Auburn. We never do well in 11-8 kicks. Yeah, so there is that element too. I hate to say that that's kind of a superstitious thing, but there is some history to back that up. So yeah, I think the thing here is you, and Coach Harsin addressed this in his press conference. I've said that a lot tonight. They've had an opportunity to go on the road twice, and both were later night games, one really late. And so they've gone through the process of traveling for those type of games. It's much different doing it for an 11 a.m. game. How do they respond to that as a team? The travel process, all this, that's going to factor into this too. First time they've done this type of schedule. 34-17, Corey's more in line with Dusty on that. Man, Listen says 31-21. John's got 27-21. If Chad Morris was there, it'd be 52-10. Since he's not, it'll be 42-14. Oh gosh, if there's 4 overtimes with Arkansas, ooh. No, sir. No, sir. The way these teams have always played each other, wouldn't be surprised if that's a fair point. That is a fair point. Neil says 54-10 Arky. Buddy, do you need a hug? I'm not too far away from you. I don't know where you live near me, but I know we're like within, probably 30 minutes of each other. I can come give you a hug if you need a hug, buddy. Hey, we could win this year. Just look what's happened in the world today. William Shatner's going to space. Captain's log. Long pause. Some of you will get that. Dusty, I don't know if I kind of agree with you on this one. I think his body of work, and now granted, I think when you talk about, they both had one season, and Tony Franklin only had 2/3 of a season. Yes, I would agree that he was the worst since then, but if we're talking worst overall, I got to look at all the OCs to see that, because do you remember Scott Loeffler? Scott Offler, as I love to call him. I would say that to his face, because that offense was Offler. That was the worst offensive coordinator we ever had. Big Simp says 35-13. Everybody's counting on William Shatner doing these things right here. I think Neil's just, Corey, I think Neil is just, he's hurt, man. And I've been there too. They've made me jaded at times, but hey, that is the roller coaster that is being an Auburn fan. All right. Let's do final score predictions. You seriously think Chad? Final score predictions for me. Based on the numbers, it looked like 30-25 Auburn. I'm going to say this. I'm just not confident about the offense right now. So I do like that 30 number. I just don't know if I can count on 3 touchdowns coming from, because I think Bo's going to have to throw for 1. I think if we can get 2 rushing touchdowns, this is going to be a very good game for the Auburn Tigers. And it doesn't come from Tank. It can come from Bo. But if I think it's doable, I just don't know how confident I feel about that. So I'm going to say 27 points for the Tigers on the road, because that's 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals. If I'm doing my math right in my head, 2 field goals, 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Yes. I'm going to say Arkansas 24. And listen, I've heard a lot of y'all with the optimism tonight, and I love those optimistic picks. I really, really do. and I think you probably might be onto something, but my level of confidence in this offense is not there quite yet. And so I'm just going to go for the conservative route and say we get a field goal, a win on this one. That's just kind of where my mind is at right now. Who is the OC under Tuberville that was awful? He used to dance on the sidelines during the game. So embarrassing. OC under Tuberville. I don't know which one you're talking about. 3-2 Auburn. Oh, we can't do that again. That was awful. You picked UGA to win and made a few Benjamins. You bet against your team and made money off it. How does that feel? Boo. Hope we can use super glue. Yeah, I agree. You know, really, here's what it comes down to: win the line of scrimmage, especially on offense, and don't drop the passes, because at some point the offensive line is not going to be getting it done. So the wide receivers have got to step up and do a little bit. St. Augustine, that was not Trooper Taylor. He was never the OC. I think he was like assistant head coach at one point, but that was Gene Chizik you're thinking, and his thing. Yeah, Franklin is the one that you're thinking of, but I don't know that he danced. Anyway, I do have to run tonight, guys. I know it's a little bit early. It is War Report night. They're going live right after me, so make sure you tell them hello if you head over there and let them know that we said hi and War Eagle, and tell them, hey, it's heyday out there on the plains today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you like this if you enjoy this type of content. Subscribe, notification bell. We're almost at 1,500 subscribers. Tell a friend. Help us get there soon. It'll be a nice little mile marker. We might do something special when we hit 1,500. So the quicker you help us get there, the quicker something special might happen. It's a tease, I know. Thank you guys so much. I hope to see you later this week. Stay tuned to the network, the podcast, the YouTube channel here for all kinds of content coming out. And we'll be talking to you on Saturday for a live reaction show right after the game. Till then, War Eagle.